You're listening to another ambitious Entrepreneur Network.com podcast, the voice for entrepreneurs and small business. Now, onto the show.
Welcome to Industry Thought Leader Podcast. Stand out, be heard, influence. Want to influence real change with your message while become known as an authority in your field? Industry Thought Leader Podcast will show you how. Now, over to your host, Anne-Marie Cross.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Industry Thought Leader Podcast, brought to you by Industry Thought Leader Academy. Stand out, be heard, influence. And I'm your host, Anne-Marie Cross, the podcasting queen. Now, my guest today says every single human being on LinkedIn, that is you, has a voice and a story that matters. Share your story. Joining me on today's show is Brian Schulman. He is known as the godfather of LinkedIn video and one of the world's top video marketing experts. He's been on the internet since it was the green screen and chat rooms and has 21 years of proven digital marketing experience strategizing with IR 500 and Fortune 500 brands across the globe. He's also a Forbes featured entrepreneur and LinkedIn top voice. He's the founder and CEO of Voice Your Vibe. You've probably seen one of his videos across LinkedIn and other platforms. He serves on a number of boards and as well as a trusted advisor and mentor to founders and companies across the world. He's been named 2019 LinkedIn Video Creator of the Year. Well done. He's also one of the top pioneering top LinkedIn video and LinkedIn Live creators around the world. And he's a sought after international speaker who does speaking engagements through the year. And he's even come to Melbourne, Australia. We met in person last year. And in July 2019, he broke the LinkedIn Live record for broadcasting live for more than 4 hours. Wow. So on today's show, Brian is going to share 5 quick tips so that you can become one of the world's top LinkedIn video creators as well, why you need to be seen and heard, how you can leverage the power of video, as well as how to voice your vibe, attract your tribe, and tell a story that people will fall in love with you on LinkedIn through video. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Anna-Marie. It's wonderful to be with you again.
Yes, I can't wait for you to share more because as we mentioned before we went live and press record, when it comes to video, people kind of, you either hate it or you love it. But I know that you probably share your story. I mean, as we mentioned in the introduction, you've been recognized for, your LinkedIn Live videos and your videos, but it was something that you needed to become comfortable and confident in as well, yes?
Yeah, it was. I had never done anything like that before. I never put the phone in front of me, usually flipped on the other sides. And so, yeah, just 2 years or so ago, I mustered up the bravery and courage to get in front of the camera. And when I say I was green, I mean, I was greener than green. I had never done anything like that. So mentally, psychologically, emotionally, physically, technologically, I had to learn everything. So,
yes. Yeah. And I'm glad you shared that because so often we look at people such as yourself who really are coming across as just incredibly confident. You've got such a valuable message to share. And we instantly go into that comparison. Well, I can't do that and so on. But, we all have our own stories. We all have our own things that we need to work through. And it's 2 years is not really a long time when you consider things, but it's just one of those things. And I'm sure you're going to talk about it more today. It's just a matter of starting, isn't it? What happened for you that encouraged you to get out there and start to share more your message on LinkedIn, particularly video?
Yeah, it's a great question. So LinkedIn Video launched in alpha in June of 2017. And it was a really big deal because LinkedIn previously, and I've been on LinkedIn every day for 16 years, it really changed the dynamic of the platform. So I'd say up until that point, it was you were showing up in your business attire and your business speak and kind of conforming, if you will, to the way things were, right? Because that's what we knew it to be. And when LinkedIn Video launched, it humanized the platform in a way that just we had never seen before. right? People were showing up and talking about fears and failures and very personal parts of their life. And when LinkedIn Video launched, right at that same time, there was a campaign called Let's Get Honest that launched. And lots of folks that you're familiar with, Swish Goswami, Michaela Alexis, and others that were sharing really personal parts of their life, right? And it was all about sharing things that nobody knew about you or that you hadn't really gotten honest about, if you will, and shared with the world. And so it was truly inspiring, Anna Marie, truly inspiring, so inspiring that I wanted to share my story with the world for the first time. And yet, I will say, it took me 5 months to muster up the courage to finally take the leap and get in front of the camera, right? Because in my case, all I kept thinking to myself was, what if my Tourette's come out, right? So I have Tourette's syndrome, which are uncontrollable tics and twitches, and usually you don't know you're doing them. And it wasn't something that I had shared with the world in the business world. I mean, really, I could probably count on one hand the number of times I had ever talked about that with anyone. And it was more a one-on-one if I thought it might help them somehow, you know? But again, I was inspired by these stories. And that was what I wanted to share about my Tourette's. And I wanted to share about being a 1.5 pound miracle baby that wasn't supposed to live. And with the hopes that sharing that part of my life may inspire one person some way, somehow.
I love that you've shared that. And, you know, one of the thing or a term that I heard many years ago, because my area is in the area of personal branding, we always used to sort of laugh that when you saw other people's personal brands, and then in this case, you're talking about stories. It's like, well, I don't have a story like that. And in our instance, well, my brain's not like that. That person is just naturally confident or naturally funny and stories. But I love how you've got that term, you know, voice your vibe, the fact that everybody's got a unique story. Do you find that the people that you speak to, that's getting easier for people to express, or there's still a bit of a barrier that they have to get through to be able to be confident that their story is worth sharing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, I think everyone I find feels the same, right? Whether I'm working with C-suite executives or founders or teams, most folks sit there and go, well, I'm not like you, Brian. I didn't almost die or fight for every breath to make it into this world or deal with a lot of adversity and bullying growing up and all these things. And I said, stop. Because what you're really saying is that you don't have a voice and a story that matters. And I tell everyone that I come into communication with that you do. Every single human being has a voice and a story that matters, and a voice and story that can positively affect, impact, and inspire another human being's life. And that's an incredible gift that we all have to give, and a truly incredible gift to be able to receive. And so I think the key to remember is it's all about relatability, right? And I do have a degree in psychology, not to get psychobabble. Remember is whenever we meet anyone, we're always looking for a point of commonality, right? It's like, oh, Anna Marie, you love personal branding. Oh, that's incredible. Oh, you're a mom, you're a dad, you love LinkedIn, you know, whatever it may be. We always look for those points of commonality, those points of interest. I mean, if you think about your best friends, they're your best friends because you have so many things in common, right? You can relate in so many ways. So I think if folks remember that it's about sharing you and your voice and getting personal, right? You don't have to share your life story, but it's that personal aspect and getting vulnerable and getting comfortable being uncomfortable that we relate to. You know, we want to feel. Think about the movies that you love, right? You cheer for the underdogs. You cry when they're hurt. You smile when they're enjoying themselves, right? That's the beauty about video. Is the only thing missing here is you can't touch the person, you can't smell the person, but because we don't have smell-o-vision just yet, right? But the reality is that you truly can touch the person that's on the other side of the screen. You can touch them with their heart.
Yeah.
And it's the heart of it all that matters.
Yeah. So true. I mean, one of the things that you mentioned in the guest profile, there were so many different resources, and we'll be linking that, of course, on the show notes once we get the show notes up. But we said here that you said 655 million business professionals are on LinkedIn, 250 million active users, and 1% creating content. And so why I share that is so often we think, well, there's so many people on LinkedIn sharing content. But in actual fact, it's 1%. LinkedIn is the most organic platform on the planet, and there's no better time than now to show up and be present. So what would you say? I mean, you probably already shared a little bit today of valuable content, but around the 5 quick tips. If someone really has not yet embraced LinkedIn video, what are the 5 tips that you want to share today for them?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for sharing those numbers. And I'll add a couple others to it because I think it's really valuable, right? 80% of content consumed online is through video. Yeah. Video helps build brand awareness. 90% of folks use video to make product purchasing decisions, right? Whether it's a service or product, whatever it may be. And social videos generate 12 times the shares of text and image combined, right? So there's extreme value in showing up on video in any platform, but especially LinkedIn, right? For the things that we've talked about. So yes, so in terms of 5 tips, I'm going to share 5 quick tips to becoming one of the top LinkedIn video creators in the world. Okay. So tip number one is show up and be human.
Yeah.
And be human. Okay. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is engage and support, build community, shine your light bright on others, especially when you're getting started, right? You don't know where to start. You don't know how to start. You just know that LinkedIn isn't what I thought it used to be in terms of a digital resume and a place to look for a job. Well, now you realize it's this engagement platform. So do that, engage and support others. LinkedIn is all about the people. It's all about the community. All right. So tip 1, show up and be human. Tip 2, engage and support. Tip number 3 is create. I mentioned it earlier and I'll say it again. You have a voice and a story that matters, and a voice and a story that can positively impact, affect, and inspire another human being's life. Show up on video and share your stories. Again, it's about relatability. Talk about what you're interested in. Talk about what gets you excited, about what you're passionate about, right? Whatever comes from your talk about those things. It doesn't have to be all business. I have showed up on kids dancing. I have collaborated with other LinkedIn creators, and we've sang and danced and gotten together for other things. There's an incredible campaign right now that is going on for Australia, right? Because as many of you know, Australia is burning. Australia is burning. And so there is a Dance for Down Under hashtag campaign that my dear friends and family, Tim Alhaj and Diana Nguyen and Kiki, and I always botch your last name, and Kiki, are doing. And it's all about raising awareness because of the 10.7 million hectares that were burned, which is 26 million acres, by the way, over 5,900 buildings that were destroyed. 22 people lost their lives. Over 1 billion animals lost their lives. These numbers are staggering, you guys. And unfortunately, the statistics just keep growing at an alarming rate. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because when I talk about coming together in the community and collaboration, this Dance for Down Under campaign is all about making a video to the song Down Under by Men at Work and using any moves that you want, dancing. They shared a couple as well if you want to do those, and then nominating 5 people to do the same. There's also a GoFundMe link for the Red Cross. So that's where those funds go if you're able to donate. That's a great example of how the community comes together and creates together, right? So create, right? Create. 60 seconds or less is your best friend when it comes to video. This is because everyone has 60 seconds. believe it or not, when you get to 2 minutes and plus, if you haven't shown up before and people don't know who you are as a human being and they haven't fallen in love with you yet, they're not going to take the time to watch a 2+ minute video. However, everybody's got 60 seconds. So remember that 60 seconds is your best friend. Okay. Tip number 4 is consistency. Consistency is key, right? Create a content strategy and a calendar to create a level of consistency that works for you, right? Because the level of consistency that works for me may not work for you. Anna Marie's consistency may not work for you. Find a groove that works for you. You don't have to go full tilt boogie and create content every single hour of the day, 7 days a week. If you're inspired, okay, go with it. Because inspiration is really important, right? Because you can feel that. But if you're not feeling it, you don't have to go with that. Just find something that works and know that as you show up consistently on your level of consistency, your tribe knows when you're going to show up, right? Same bat time, same bat channel. It's one of those things that you can ramp up, right? You can ramp up. Maybe you decide you're going to make one video a week. Okay, great. But be consistent with that. Say, okay, I'm going to make one video a week. And it's going to be every Wednesday at 6:00 p.m. in whatever time zone you're in, and go with that. Maybe create a video series out of that, right? Those are great ways to be able to show up. So tip 5, and I'll do a quick recap after. Tip 5 is collaborate, right? And we already just talked about that great example of Dance for Down Under. Incredible things happen when we come together, when we bring our voices together. Amazing. And my friend Brendan Burkmeyer is actually doing a recap in the comments right now on LinkedIn Live. I appreciate you, Brendan. Thank you, my friend. So again, just in recap, 5 tips to becoming one of the top LinkedIn video creators in the world. Show up and be human is tip 1. Engage and support, build community, shine your light bright on others. That's tip 2. Tip 3 is create in the many ways that we just discussed. 60 seconds or less is your best friend. Tip 4, be consistent. Brendan, tip 4, that's consistency. Consistency is key. So be consistent, create a content strategy and a calendar to create a level of consistency and a groove that works for you. And then again, tip 5 is collaborate, because truly incredible things happen when we come together.
Yes, great. I've made a note of those because I'd love to go back on some of those and just unpack them. You've already unpacked them beautifully, but I thought I want to talk a little bit more about, you said shine in the light on others. This is tip number 2, shine in the light, building the community. And one of the things that I see, and it's working really well, where people are tagging other people, they're participating in communication, they're inviting others to step forward. And it's interesting because in some platforms, tagging people, there's positive ways that you can tag. In this instance, collaborating, asking them to share their opinion, their voices, contributing to the conversation. But there's also negative ways of tagging others as well. So would you think first of starting with your existing community? How does that work? If someone's not yet done that before, what would be a great place for them to start doing this? Because I see it working so well, and these incredible communities of like-minded people creating, in collaboration, comments that if they were just to share them on their own, just wouldn't reach the level of reach, but also the depth of content that's being shared in the discussion. So where do we start?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And tagging, I have some terms to tagging. So when you tag people, or when you tag companies, or when you use hashtags, all of those things bring visibility, right? They bring visibility in more of a categorical type of perspective. So let's talk about tagging people and companies for a second. I get tagged a lot on LinkedIn, and I am honored each and every time I am tagged in a post, in a video, in a comment, in an article, whatever it may be, right? Because those are all the different ways that you can tag people through forms of creation. And honestly, it means so much, right? Because it means that you made a positive impact on another human being's life, right? Somehow inspired them at that point in time or another, and that they took the time to think about you related to their content, and took the time to type in your name to be tagged. It takes time to tag. It's not something that's just right away, quick and easy. I don't think there's a greater honor than that. And, you know, I remember when I was tagged, just in reference as an example, my dear friend Fabio Marama, honored I was when he tagged me in a post that he had created, and how good it made me feel, right? It's not just how it made me feel, it's how I made him feel to want in his thoughts at that time. So I think the thing to remember is we all start from the bottom, right? We're all helped in different ways. It's our duty to send the ladder down and help others. So if I'm personally able to help another creator gain more visibility, engagement, a job, because I've been tagged, or I take the time to engage, right, as they took the time to think about me and tag me, why not? Now, to your point, the other side is the tagging taking cases where it's not relevant, or they just want more exposure or whatever. And again, like I said, personally, my own opinion, I don't mind for all the reasons that I just shared. But I think the thing to remember is, yes, there's a tactical way to go about doing that, right? Tag people that are relevant. Tag companies that are relevant. I'll give you a great example. I had shared a post about Walmart. This was probably a year plus ago. They had updated their app, and it was an article about it. It was a great written article and such. And I tagged Walmart in the post, and lo and behold, the individual that was responsible for the update of that app commented and said, "Hey, Brian, thanks for sharing about the app. Let us know what you think about the update." Now, that's really powerful when you think about the listening ears that brands have out in LinkedIn, right? So if you're trying to get the attention of a particular brand, of a particular influencer, of a particular CEO at a company, this is a place where engagement takes place. I mean, how incredible is that too, if you think about it, right? I mean, to think about the fact that you can get the attention of a Fortune 5 CEO by tagging them, or again, be thoughtful about those things, right? You've got to imagine how often that must take place in terms of them being tagged. But whether they be companies, individuals, and such, again, just realize that tagging helps you. Yes, it does help you gain more visibility under other people's channels that otherwise may not have seen you, right? Because you can't control the algorithm. It's out of your control. You shouldn't even be thinking about the algorithm. You can't do anything to change that. All you can do is show up and be you and be human and be authentic and genuine. And again, the things that we talked about. Hashtags, though, on the other side is another way of tagging. Just an aside, think about if you do a search on LinkedIn for hashtags, just hashtag business or hashtag entrepreneur or whatever it may be, hashtag LinkedIn video or LinkedIn live, right? You're going to see many people that follow that hashtag, right? Like in some cases, millions and millions of people.
Yeah.
So if you add that hashtag to your post shows up in that feed categorically of that hashtag, where otherwise you wouldn't have showed up in there. That's powerful.
Yeah, very powerful. And it goes back to your point, of course, and I think this is so important. The post has to be relevant. If you're using a hashtag or you're tagging someone, it has to be relevant. It has to be valuable to the conversation. You just don't want to tag someone for the sake of just grabbing their attention, because that is one way that you can get attention, but it's the wrong sort of attention that you're getting on. Something that you've said, around the collaborator, around communicating and leaving a comment on someone's post. I think that probably, and I'd love your opinion on this too, it's probably one of the untapped incredible opportunities, because I will often scroll through what other people have said, and if I feel that I can add value or I can give someone the thumbs up and say, great point, never thought of it that way, there's real relationships being developed through the connection in the comment section. Yet I think so many people leave that untapped. Is that a fair comment to make?
Oh, it's so true. Like, again, LinkedIn is an engagement platform, you guys, right? It's, think about it this way. What you share is seen by so many, and you may not even know that they're seeing that. The opportunities that will present themselves by you engaging. Let's think about this from a business perspective, right? You've engaged on the CEO of some ABC company, right? They created a post, they posted a video, an article, whatever, and you've provided a very thoughtful comment, right? Next thing you know, they've come to your profile, your channel, to check you out. You've reached out and said, thank you so much for visiting my profile. I truly enjoyed the article that you posted today. And thank you so much for liking that or replying or engaging, right? It gave you a way to engage with them both in the comments and then on the back end. And next thing you know, maybe you're having a conversation. Maybe you're potentially doing business together. But engagement is yes, it is underutilized. But I think it's most underutilized by folks who don't realize that this is an engagement platform today, right?
Yeah.
They're not seeing all of that happening. But it also provides you a way to show up and be present, share your thoughts, reply like you shared, be a thought leader, right? It's an incredible opportunity. My dear friend Lila Smith is like the queen of engagement. Lila, if you're watching, I love you. She's incredible. Brandon Berkmeyer is always engaging on lives, especially anywhere I wind up streaming live. And he's amazing, right? Because that engagement, he's taking thoughts and sharing them in the comments. That's really helpful, especially for folks that may be jumping in right now and didn't about already. That's really helpful, right? And it's great to be known as someone that is helpful and sharing. So yeah, I think engagement is highly underutilized in terms of engaging in the comments. You don't on video. It's scary, guys. It is, right? Especially if you've never done it before. But once you take the leap, right, you then go, oh, wow, what was I so scared about? Just like I did waiting for. But start with engaging. And you meet people in the comments. It's incredible. It's incredible. When you show up in the comments and engage, you meet amazing people and you start to build incredible relationships.
Yeah, so true. And one of the things as we finish off, these shows go so quickly and we've probably only just scratched the surface, but hopefully someone who's been watching today or listening to the recording will have realized that it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, just get out there, share your message and you'll make an impact. But one of the things that I wanted to end in is point number 1. And that is where you say, be human. And I bring this up because I remember someone commenting or asking a question of you when you presented just recently in Melbourne. But they said, yeah, but LinkedIn is not a platform to share that kind of content. It's more where you have to be professional. And I love the way that you responded by saying, well, actually, no, it's not. It is about being human. It is about sharing aspects of your story that you know is going to inspire and give someone hope or possibility or whatever it is that they may be struggling with. Speak a little bit about that, particularly if people are thinking, well, LinkedIn is just a platform to find jobs. You need to be very careful about the content you share because that's no longer the case, is it?
No, it's not. So I'm going to share a couple of quick things with you. Simon Sinek said it really well. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. We live in a digital age, right? In this digital age, your smile is now your logo and your personality is now your business card, and how you leave other people feeling after an experience with you, that's your trademark. Okay. And it's not always about what you say, right? Maya Angelou said, people may forget what you say, but they will never forget how you make them feel. I did not come to LinkedIn to do business 16 years ago. I came to LinkedIn to inspire one person a day. And that was my calling, right? That was in my heart. Don't get me wrong. I've generated a lot of business over the years and partnerships and created amazing opportunities organically and strategically, but by showing up and by being me and just realize that, if you come to LinkedIn just to do business, you're not going to get very far. You're not going to get as far as you would if you had if you knew what your why was above and beyond that, right? So make sure your why is above and beyond just doing business. And remember that it's all about the people. And yes, it is about being human, Anna Marie. And it is a different place than it used to be. And when you show up and be human and you get personal, again, you don't have to share your whole life story, but remember that it's about relatability, right? And me showing up with my son on the field playing lacrosse and doing a video and sharing that. Why would I share something like that on LinkedIn? Imagine how many other parents there are. There are millions and millions of parents on LinkedIn. Yeah. That's relatable, right? It's relatable. So if you remember, it's about relatability and being human and showing up and being you. That's where it all starts. That's where relationships start.
Has to start and finish there for sure, because that's what it's all about. And as you say, relationship starts from there, and you build that trust, that likability with people when you are genuine, and people can certainly sense that, particularly in video. You know, we as humans, I think we can pick up, you know, fakeness or that mask, and it's like, you know, get rid of the mask. Step forward and allow yourself to shine through. Brian, how can people find out more about you? They probably already know exactly how to for that one person that may not have heard of you. How best should they connect and find out more?
Yes, absolutely. So my home is LinkedIn. Obviously, I bleed blue and white. It's changed my life. So find me on LinkedIn, connect with me, send me a personalized invite. Let me know that you saw me on Anna Marie's incredible show. I would love to connect and chat with you. I also have 2 giveaways. Yeah. So one is a LinkedIn Jumpstart course. It is a free 15 lesson course filled with nuggets to get you newbies to LinkedIn, or if you've been around and you haven't realized about this whole engagement thing and you want to get started, my dear friend Rob Balasabas and I put this together. So it'll be in the notes, but it's linkedinmasterclass.thinkific.com. Please take advantage of this. It's an incredible way to get you going. The other giveaway is if you have questions about how to LinkedIn video for you, for your business, you want to talk strategy around video, I have provided a link to schedule a free 15-minute consultation. So it's calendly.com/voice your vibe. Set time on my calendar every day to be able to have these incredible conversations with you guys. Please take advantage of them, because I am here to help and would love to chat with all of you.
Yeah, fantastic. And of course, for those people who may not have had an opportunity to hear you speak or see any of your videos, I mean, they only just have to keep an eye on, connect with you, of course, and see the content that you share, that you really do voice your vibe to, and see the great, awesome content that you continue to share. Just one, as we finish, obviously it's 2020. We talk a lot about, the trends in social media and LinkedIn and so forth. We know that video is certainly a powerful thing. Are there some changes that people also need to be aware of to ensure that any video strategy in 2020 is certainly going to generate the influence and impact that they're seeking?
Absolutely. And again, as I shared earlier, it's, video is one of those things that you just have to pay attention to, whether it's native video or live video. HubSpot did a study finding that 54% of consumers want to see more video content from brands and businesses they support, and went on further that it's been predicted that video will account for 70% of all mobile traffic by 2021. Wow. I think the most important thing to remember is it's the heart of it all that matters, right? And I think the growth of video as a part of a brand's heart-centered content marketing strategy will continue to increase, with a concentration on LinkedIn. This is 2020. LinkedIn Live, which we are on across many other platforms as well, will come out of beta. And I predict more and more businesses will find their voices. They will voice their vibe. They will attract their tribes by including live and native video in their marketing strategies on LinkedIn. And they need to be, right? Because this is where the decision makers are in any form or fashion. 655 million of them. So
yeah, fantastic. I mean, the question that often people ask is when should I start? Well, the best time to have started would have been like a while ago, but the second best time to start is right now.
Right now.
Right now. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been an absolute treat, and thank you so much for your time.
Anna Marie, I truly appreciate it. It was so wonderful to meet you at my keynote in Oz and Melbourne, and to meet all of you. It was an honor to be here on your show and to be with your guests, and I truly appreciate you. So thank you so much for having me.